this is Ethan Ward here from WordTech Reviews, and we are lucky enough to have two wonderful products from Bitfenix here to unbox for you today. As you can probably see, we've already unboxed this right here, which is the Bitfenix Ghost. We wanted to make sure that everything was set up right, and then we had all the parts organized. We kind of knew what we were dealing with, make sure nothing was damaged before we went ahead and unboxed it for you. You guys probably expected that, but just figured I'd mention it. So we have the Bitfenix Ghost mid-tower case here, and I'll give you an overview and specifications of that. But first, today we are going to be doing the Bitfenix Spectre Pro Green LED 140mm fan. Now, this is Bitfenix's top line, and we actually have one currently back in this computer over here. I don't know how well you guys can see that. It's under here. We have a 200mm Bitfenix Spectre Pro LED fan, green LED, and so we got this one to go along with it. Anyway, so let's just go ahead with this unboxing. I'll just really quickly open this up. Just tape on the sides. You can easily break off. Open it up. We have your screws, or screwless design screws. That's actually kind of cool. They're really a unique design. I actually have not seen these before, which is surprising. Mounting hardware. Alright, we have a Bitfenix limited warranty, tiny little, almost receipt paper. We have some mounting screws. And we have a Molex to 2-pin adapter. And here we have your 2-pin adapter that will actually let you, if your case offers it, to control the LEDs, turn them on and off, from the case or any other LED controller that supports that kind of cable. And then inside, we have the 140mm fan itself, right here. It's a pretty large fan. Bitfenix has done a really good job with this fan. It's got reinforcements. I mean, you try and flex it and it barely flexes. It's got the backing is reinforced by all these layers, or these rows, rather, of plastic that also give it kind of a unique glow and a unique look. And then the fan blades themselves, which I don't know how well you guys can see that, are actually, they have a piece of plastic, a thicker piece of plastic, running through each blade that will reinforce them, so when they're spinning at really high RPMs, they don't flex, so it makes them a lot quieter. Here we have your cable. It's a 3-pin cable to power the fan. It's a chassis fan. And then right here we have a 2-pin adapter that lets you plug in that longer cable that will let you control the LEDs. Although they also include this that you plug in there that it just completes the circuit and lets the LEDs run at all times. And we are excited to see what this fan is like inside our awesome case over here. So everyone, now we have the Bitfenix Ghost that you saw earlier in the box, and we're going to go ahead and re-unbox it. But the only thing is there's not the plastic wrap over the entire case, and there is not some tape that holds a few of the fan grills together. So besides that, it's the same styrofoam and everything inside. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Sideways here. So, interestingly enough, the styrofoam actually goes on the top and bottom of the case, which is a little different than we've seen sometimes. We usually see it on the sides of the case, but I kind of like it better, because that is where it needs to be protected most on this case, because they've got fan grills and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and pop off this side. Okay, so I've got the styrofoam off, and we're going to go ahead and give you an overview of this wonderful case that we really thank Bitfenix for sending us. We're really lucky to have this case here with us today, and we're excited to show it to you guys. And we will also be doing a build in it later, and some pictures, nice photos, some pans, and everything that we can offer you. And we'll do a written review of what we think about it. So anyway, let's get started with the review. So over here on the front, as you can see, you have you have a flushed front piece with the Bitfenix logo down at the bottom, and then you have a door, which is actually a dual hinged door. So it has hinges on both sides, so you can open it either way. And we have over here little, actually I'll show you this in a sec. So here, as you can see, it opens on both sides. Now some people would have an issue with that because they only want it to open on one side. So they include these little clips here. They're pretty tiny, and they go inside the hinge itself, which will actually prevent the hinge from opening on that side, so that you could potentially lock this shut and then only have it open on one side. So I'll go ahead and set these up to the side. So there's the front. Inside you have a front fan grill, and it just clicks out like that. And you can put 240mm fans in there if you want. And it does have support, it appears, for radiators. Pardon me, actually, I take that back. This is just for fans. There's just enough thickness there for fans. You could, if you wanted, I suppose, do a passive radiator, but we wouldn't really recommend that. So, anyway, here we have one issue. This could have been actually from shipping. The box had a few scrapes and stuff on it, a few bangs. But the front fan grill here itself, it clicks in and clicks out, but only one of the tabs is on there, the leftmost for you guys. And so the right tab over here is broken off, but it still stays in just fine, and you're not going to be leaving the front of this case open very often anyway, so that's a small complaint, but just know that you could have something like that happen. It wouldn't really matter if it was on the top, of course, because that one just holds itself in. But yeah, as you might be able to see, there it kind of sticks out a little bit here. See if I can give you guys a better view of that. Sticks out right here. Anyway, so there you have the front of the case, which is a really unique, interesting design. We're happy with it. And as you can see, there is no grill on the front for those front fans to intake any air. The air inside actually comes right here from a side line or a side vent that will let the fans suck air into here and then through the case. And from the way we were able to see, it's a really good design because the fan isn't trying to suck it in sideways so much as it's sucking forward like it normally would, and the air just comes in sideways rather than something that it doesn't restrict the fan much, is what we're trying to say. The inside here, there's a lot of space, so it actually lets the fan do its work, and I don't see any restriction problems with that. And you have the sound dampening material in front. That is why there's no front grille, and it also gives it a little bit of a sleeker design. So, on the right side of the case, it is flushed blank. All you can see is the area to grab and open the side of the case, or the front of the case, sorry. And right here you have your mesh grille that lets the fan suck in air. As for the left side, we have the exact same thing. It is just flush with the same handle and same mesh grille on the side. Very, very sleek looking case. We're very impressed with just how there's nothing on the sides or the front. Okay everyone, so on the back you have a 140mm fan. You have 3 areas that you can put a grommet for liquid cooling, which is interesting. They look like you actually punch them out. They're not just a hole there, so if you're not planning on using some form of external liquid cooling radiator, you don't have to, and you don't have to have it look like there's a bunch of holes in the back of your case. So we really like that. That's something really impressive about this case. It kind of sparked us in the right way. We just thought it was a great idea. You have your I/O ports here. You have 7 PCI slots right inside here. So you're not going to be fitting a quad graphics card set up in here if they're dual slot cards. Single slot cards you could, but again, it's an ATX case. It's a mid-tower. You're going to have the motherboard to support that. So 7 is perfect. You could do a triple SLI or a triple fire setup if you wanted in here. Down towards the bottom, we have your power supply mount, which that's just pretty much standard. And right here you just have a vent with, surprisingly, a Kensington lock port, so you could lock your something to it, your laptop or whatever. And interesting, actually, that really stands out in this case too. You don't see that too often on cases. And on the top. As for the top of the case, you have your I/O ports. Alright, so you have your reset button, your power button, your two USB 3.0, two USB 2.0, your microphone in and your headphone out, and then you have your two LEDs, probably a power LED and HDD LED. On the top of the case, you have a spot to put up to a 3.5-inch internal hard drive or SSD that you can mount in there, hot swap bays. It's a really nice design if you're moving hard drives around all the time. So that's a unique feature of this case, and it also helps keep it really flushed, and we are really fans of that, because it's very rare that you see a case including something like that, especially something that's covered up so nicely. And actually, inside there are some gripping pads, and they're not really anti-vibration, but they will keep the hard drive from sliding around as much. Then, up top, you have your grill that goes over all of your top fans. It pops out, like everything else in the case. You click in, click out. So, on the top, you can fit under the fan grill that we took off, which you can wash underwater. You can fit a dual 120, dual 140, or a 200mm fan on top. So, plenty of cooling options for the top for your radiators if you're doing liquid cooling, which so far this case is a really liquid cooling friendly case. Or if you just want a fan and you just are doing pure air cooling, this is great for that too. So if you don't want to put fans in the top for whatever reason, and you really wish that the mesh grill wasn't there, and you just want a sleek case that just has fans on the front and on the back and pretty much nothing visible, then they include a flat plastic piece that goes in place of that fan mesh grill that matches the rest of the case. So it's just slide it in here, push it down, locks in. Pop it out, pull it out, and then you just slide in the other one. And that's locked in place. Now, we will be keeping it like this in our build, but you guys will see that in our next video. As for the bottom of the case, you have an arch design here, so the feet stick out slightly lower than the actual bottom of the frame, which is really good because you can go ahead and put their Alchemy LED strips in here, which it is pre-modded for that. So you just stick them in, plug them wherever you need to, turn them on, and you have an underglow effect on the case, which is a really good design. And the arch design also provides extra airflow on the bottom, so your power supply is going to get great airflow, as well as any other 140mm or 120mm fan that you put on the bottom here. So, like we said, this supports a really good amount of cooling. Anyway, this right here actually magnetically connects. This is just a fan filter, and it'll cover your power supply fan and your 120 or 140 bottom fan, which is absolutely a great feature. A lot of times they won't include something that will actually filter your bottom fan. They'll just do the bottom power supply fan. So we were really happy to see this, and it magnetically clips in there, which is great because you just click it on, pull it off. So we're really happy with that design. Slides in really easily. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the back side, or the inside of the case. Go ahead and pop up the side here. So on the side panel, you have, I don't know how well you can see this, but you have sound dampening material. So this will help keep the case quiet. It's about, I'd say 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch thick, which is pretty nice. So this is the whole point of this. That's why it's called the Ghost, is to keep it quiet, of course. So I'll go ahead and set this off over here. Anyway, inside you have 3 baggies that include, well, we'll go ahead and go through them for you really fast. So they include an instruction manual, which most of you probably won't read, but it's actually, we went through it, and it's a really nice instruction manual. It's got lots of pictures. It's very simple. It's not detailed, but it still makes a lot of sense. It's basically, it's a extended quick start guide is what you have here. So inside the bag, you also have 4 grommets for your cable management on the back. And these grommets, it's a really nice little feature that they include these in the bag rather than mounting them. so that you don't have them falling out during shipping, maybe getting lost or whatever. They're in the bag, and you mount them yourself. If you don't want to use them, then you don't have to use them. We have another little bracket in here, and I'm actually not sure what this is used for just yet. It's a unique plastic bracket. You have your bag of screws and your motherboard tray risers in here, some more thumb screws, just so you can mount everything inside. Just a little bag of screws. What we have here seems to be some anti-vibration pads for hard drives, which would be nice. Which is a nice little thing to include in the case. Anti-vibrational pads are always good. They're very rubbery. So that's the first bag you have inside there. Then we have your second bag, which simply holds... Let's see what exactly we have in here. Inside the second bag, we have 3 2.5-inch mounting brackets for your hard drive base, because, well, we'll get into why there's specific small mounting brackets for this case. And these right here, you just slide the SSD in, and you kind of spread them open, slide it in, clip it shut, and then you click it inside the case up here. Clips in, slides out. So that's what you have in there. And our last baggie contains 3 mounting brackets four mounting brackets for your full-size 3.5-inch hard drives, which do the exact same thing. You bend them, you stick the drive in, you let them close, and it closes them. So these are nice. They include them in their tool list. They just pop in, pop out. Okay, now that we are setting all parts aside, I will go ahead and give you an overview of the inside of the case. On the inside of the case, you have your motherboard tray in the back, along with your holes that you can put your grommets in so that you can route your cables around the back, because it does have cable management. You have a 140mm fan that goes in the back, and then you have your PCI ports, of course, and the vent with the Kensington lock port that we already reviewed on the back. Then you have your power supply mount on the bottom, a 120mm or 140mm fan mount, and you will have space there if you want to fit a pretty thick radiator. So you could get a pretty water cooling friendly build in here. You could do a 280 up here, a 140 there, and a 140 in the back. So you could do all sealed loops, a couple sealed loops, or you could go ahead and do a custom loop inside this, and it would all work out really good in a pretty small compact case. Because up on the top, like we noted earlier, you can fit a 240 or 280mm radiator, or you can actually fit a 200mm fan. So that is a nice little feature that they have included in there with the mesh on top. Then you have right here your 3.5-inch mounting brackets, where you just slide a hard drive in here, slide the mounting bracket in, click, and your hard drives are in, and you just plug them in on the back on the cable routing side. So pretty straightforward like others, but these ones, they seem higher quality than a lot I've seen. They don't flex too much, and they just don't seem like they're going to break very easy. And they do have a really unique design in them that lets the hard drive breathe really well. You have 4 of the 3.5-inch drives down here, and then you can fit 3 2.5-inch drives up here with the same form of mounting bracket. Stretch it, clip it in, and then you just pop it in and click. So those just mount in there. Really quick and easy to do. We haven't seen anything quicker than that, actually. That's about the quickest they get. Okay, so continuing with our inside view of the case, and I'm going to hurry it up a little bit here because our camera battery is actually getting low after about an hour of recording. You have an external 3.5-inch drive bay, so you could put, your front I/O ports if you wanted to add more SD card slots or whatever, which we might actually do that in our build, or add that to our build in the future. And now we'll go ahead and do a quick view of the back with the cable management. So I'm going to go ahead and unscrew these screws here. Same sound dampening material that we saw earlier on the back side. So, on the back here, they've actually already done some of your cable management for you with twist ties. So, zip ties. I'm sorry, zip ties. So, you've got, I would say, about a little less than an inch of clearance to run your cable management, so you're going to have pretty much no trouble fitting a big wad of cables through here. And you've got a bunch of little loops that you can zip tie stuff to. There's not too many of them, actually. That is a very small complaint that we have about this so far. We would actually like to see a little more loops inside here, mounting loops, but they do have enough to run them up and down this side here, so nothing that's a big deal there. And you have a huge, absolutely huge cutout for your back plate, so if you were doing a liquid cooling setup or whatever, this is completely perfect. This is exactly the kind of cutout that we like to see. You could put anything, I mean, the cutout here is actually big enough if you had an ATX motherboard, not that they make them, but if you had an ATX motherboard that supported 2 CPUs, you could do it. Now, of course, like I said, you're not going to find an ATX motherboard that supports 2 CPUs. So, then you have your front I/O ports. Over here you have a fan cable that you can probably not see that goes to your front fan. And for the most part, that is pretty much it for the case. So, we hope you liked our unboxing and overview of the case. We are going to be doing a build in it soon. We're actually going to put all the parts from this computer in this case. So, you'll be able to see a build in it too in our next video that we'll upload here as soon as we can. Thank you for watching WordTech Reviews unboxing and overview of the Bitfenix Spectre Pro 140mm green LED fan and the Bitfenix Ghost mid-tower case. So far, we are almost beyond impressed with Bitfenix and how good they're doing. Their case's quality is pretty much unlike anything I've ever seen. Nothing really feels like it's going to break. It all feels solid. There might be a few little things that we miss, like we mentioned, the not having enough loops on the back. But the quality of the case is great. It seems like it would support everything. They've pretty much thought of everything that you could think of when it comes to something like this. And it's one sleek designed case. And our overall thoughts of it, I mean, we would give it a 10 out of 10 if we were doing that sort of rating. We're really, really impressed with this case. Go ahead and keep checking up on our YouTube channel. Subscribe. Like it if you liked it. Dislike it if you disliked it. And check out our build that we'll be doing in this case in the future.